In my head, years ago, only thing I wanted to do was graduate from school and go and work in a manufacturing plant. Trust me, it didn't last long. Welcome to Debt Free in IT. I'm your host, Mike. This podcast is for anyone who's looking to get into the IT industry, whether it's for a career change or you're just interested. I think you come to the right place. Today's episode is all about IT certifications. Now, I know my channel is heavily built around certifications, and there's a reason for that. So for a lot of people that's trying to break into tech or maybe trying to transition, you're already in tech, but you're trying to transition to a totally different role or move up from maybe a help desk or a desktop role, I think certifications is one of the fastest, most affordable, and most realistic ways to do so. So I know you hear it all the time that certifications don't really mean much, or a certification basically will not guarantee you a job. And basically, I don't think any certification or degree will pretty much guarantee a job. But what I believe that both of those items do, as well as certifications, is I think it gets you in the room. So basically, it gets you in the room, it gets you set up for that interview. From there, it's up to you to win over the interviewer, or if it's a team of folks interviewing you, it's up to you to win over those interviewers by showing the knowledge, the fundamentals, and the confidence that you built from getting that certification. In my opinion, I think the certification puts you a little bit ahead of the crowd. So if you think about it, a lot of folks graduate from school with a degree. And I think that one thing that will make you stand out a little bit more is pairing that degree with a certification. Or if you don't get a degree, then one thing that's going to help you stand out from that crowd is basically getting this certification. So today, I'm breaking down 5 reasons to get an IT certification. So let's get to it. So my first reason is that an IT certification is one of the quickest ways to get into tech without a degree. So basically, like I said, certifications can help you break into the IT field. Basically, you don't have to have a 4-year degree to take a certification. So all you need to have is basically you go and study for that certification. You sign up at your local testing center and you test and take that certification. So basically, there's no prerequisites to most certifications. So there's no degree required. And then for a lot of us, after high school, I know this was me for a while, where after high school, I didn't really have the desire to go to college. It was one of the things where in my head years ago, only thing I wanted to do was graduate from school and go and work in a manufacturing plant. Trust me, it didn't last long. So I didn't really have the desire to go to college, even though my grades was well over good enough to go. But basically, I didn't really have the desire. I was like, well, at the time, I thought college was going to be like high school. I thought the instructor's going to be on your back and things like that. Little did I know it was the total opposite. So I'm glad I did go. But if I hadn't went and I found out about these certifications, like I said, it's another option I could have taken. So like I said, if you don't have the time, you don't have the money, maybe you can't afford college right now, then certifications, I think, give you a faster, more direct path. So basically with that certification, you can go and study for that certification, learn the fundamentals. So if it's a beginner certification, it helps you learn the fundamentals. Then you go and sit and you pass the exam. And right after you get your printout that shows that you passed that exam, you can basically go home, create your online resume, and start applying to those entry-level jobs. So it's one of the fastest paths that I can think of. But like I said, it doesn't guarantee. But like I said, this is another option for those that maybe you're not suited for college, or maybe there's something you tried and it didn't work out. So look into these certifications. So the second reason is certifications help you to stand out from competition. So like you always hear me say that every year, you have a lot of people graduating school. You have a lot of people transitioning from another role that's not IT, that's trying to get into IT. So you got people coming from all kind of backgrounds looking to break into tech. And most of those people, they may have a degree. Some of them may not have no degree, but they may have some kind of customer service experience, help desk experience, something of that nature. But the number of people that will have both that degree and certification, or maybe just this certification, I think that pool starts to get a little bit smaller. And anytime you can make the pool a little bit smaller, I think that gives you greater chances of landing that position, especially when you break it down to the area that you're located. So if you're located in a small town that maybe has a couple of hospitals, so that's one thing I always recommend. If you're looking for a tech job, look at your local hospital. So if you're in an area that has a couple of hospitals, but it's a small town, then a lot of times that certification you get will stand out. And that certification could very well get you that interview. Then once you get in that interview, you express that knowledge that you learned from that certification, and then it lands you your first role. So my third reason is certifications can increase your earning potential. So basically with a certification, it can help you to land your first job role. Let's say you go get a certification, you land in at help desk. And then once you're at help desk for a little bit, you're trying to transition to a networking or a cybersecurity role. So that certification can also help you to transition to that role. So when you reach out to the manager of those departments, they may say that in order to move up here, we're looking for candidates with a CCNA. We're looking for candidates with a Security Plus. So this way you can go out, study, get those certifications. Then when a position comes open, you're the perfect candidate to move up to that position. And then let's say you end up getting that position. So you got your CCNA. You end up getting a network admin role. So you're a network admin for, let's say, about 1 to 3 years. So you got 1 to 3 years experience. You have a CCNA. Then it's time for you to move up to the next level, which would be a network engineer. So some places, they may require you, in order to move up to that next level, they may also require you to get the next level up certification. So this will be the CCNP for networking. And basically what that does is that certification now has just got you another pay bump. You're up in a higher role. Then you start to get your experience there. You start to get your experience as an engineer. And then one thing you start seeing some folks do at this level is they'll either move to senior engineer at their current position. Then also this is where you see a lot of job hopping come into play. So most folks in tech, they already know that in order to get big pay increases every couple of years, basically you hop different jobs. You go around to different jobs. Now, this is something you don't want to, well, in my perspective, I would say this is something you don't want to do like every year. But you do see people once they get that experience. So I say about 2 to 3 years of experience in one role, you see people start to apply to outside companies because a lot of times they get a bigger pay increase from coming from the outside, into another company, rather than being inside and moving up. So this is where you see that pay increase can jump pretty quick, where let's say you're at that current position, you end up a network engineer, you're there for about 3 more years, you leave out, and the next company hires you as a senior engineer. That senior engineer, you may get a $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 pay increase. So you can see how this keeps adding up from a money perspective. So, and then also, it also is good for experience too, because like I always say, one of the things that I regret about my career, like I say, I'm glad everything happened the way it did, but one of the things, if I could go back, is I probably would have jumped around a little bit sooner, to where I was at one facility with 10 years for 10 years. So basically, I knew that network pretty good. I knew how things worked there in the IT department, which was all good, and it helped me out. But you take someone that went the contract route, where they did this networking role for this bank for 3 years. Then they left and they went to this other place for 2 or 3 more years. Then they left, went to this other place for a year. So basically, in the 10 years where I've seen this one infrastructure for 10 years, basically that person could almost see 3 to 4 different infrastructures, which means that at each one of these places they work at, they're using different systems, they're using different pieces of software, which in turn is making them more valuable to another company. So it can add up pretty quick, but this is where you start seeing folks start jumping around, especially after they get the certifications and the experience. Quick pause. I'd like to introduce you to the Log Files. The Log Files is a weekly newsletter to help you start your IT career with practical advice and tips, powered by yours truly. I launched it in the beginning of the year. It's packed with actionable advice, resources, and insights to kickstart your IT journey. The link is in the description as well as pinned in the comments, so don't miss out. Now back to the episode. So my fourth reason to get an IT certification is basically a certification can create opportunities even when you're not looking. So one thing that a lot of people don't really talk about enough is how certifications can bring opportunities to you. So basically you might be in a job, you might be comfortable in that job. You're not even looking. But let's say you got a certification like a CCNA, or maybe you got some cloud certifications. A lot of times if you put that certification out online, let's say you put it on your LinkedIn profile, a lot of times you'll start getting hit up by recruiters. So I've seen this happen a lot where someone not even looking for a job, and basically they got the certifications and things listed on their profile, to where a lot of times what recruiters may do is if they got a role and they're looking for someone in networking, 9 times out of 10, they're going to start searching for CCNA certifications, CCNP certifications. So when they start searching for that in LinkedIn, a lot of times it's going to pull up all the profiles of the folks that has that on their profile. So that has those certifications listed. Then they're going to go down, look closer to the area. If it's a remote role, then their pool is a little bit larger. But basically, they're going to start contacting these folks and letting them know of the opportunity that they have. So I know a couple of folks who found their current jobs basically from a recruiter reaching out to them. So like I said, you get it a lot on LinkedIn. And also it's possible to get on Indeed, where basically these recruiters, they have a job to fill, and basically they already know what certifications to look for. So they're going to start searching for those certifications. So they're going to start searching for them, and basically they're going to reach out, maybe send you a message, maybe send you the phone number where you can hop on a call. But a lot of times in these situations, like I said, they present an opportunity to you. Let's say that opportunity may be a $20,000 increase. If you're someone that's, trying to make as much money as possible in your IT career, this could very well make you jump ship. So I've seen plenty of people they get an offer that they can't refuse. And basically, hey, even though you may love the current job that you're at, you may end up leaving just because of that pay increase. So my fifth reason to get an IT certification is basically a certification can give you structure and also give you a clear roadmap. So for a lot of folks that's trying to break into tech, sometimes it may not be being motivated to go in and start studying, but sometimes the issue may be, what do I study? What do I need to study? So this is where certification can come in handy, where, you start researching entry-level certifications. You may come across an A+, you may come across a CCNA, but basically you decide on what certification you're going to start studying. And then one thing that I like about most certifications, I know Cisco definitely has this, is that once you choose that certification, you go on that vendor's website, and basically they have a roadmap for you called the exam topics. These exam topics basically tell you the objectives that you need to learn for this certification. It lets you know what you could be tested on with this certification. So basically, you got this roadmap here, and you just get the materials to start studying for the certification. I always recommend getting the OCG book for the certification, good video resources, then also a weighted lab. And then as you get ready to start to take the exam, I also recommend getting an exam simulator. So basically from getting this, you can now create you a plan to where you got a clear direction on what to study each day, what you need to learn. And as you get to the end of that, you're ready to go ahead and take your certification and pass it. So at the end of the day, like I said, I think certifications is real valuable. Like I said, I'm a big fan of certifications because I do see it as an alternative to those that maybe don't want to go to school. I always recommend, if you have the time, basically go check out your community college, because they have a lot of resources for you that you can utilize for a small amount or maybe even free. So I always check out your community college. But then for those that maybe, school just isn't for you, then these certifications, I think, provide a great alternative. Now, other fields also have certifications that provide the same value. But in tech, like I said, I think it was a game changer, because for me, I never knew anything about certifications or anything like that besides like certification for some kind of trade field. But as far as IT, I never knew certifications existed. The only thing I knew was most people had to go to school, in order to get a job in tech. And then once I started going to school, I realized, oh, okay, we got this certification that you can get. Then I realized that, oh, it's a certification for almost everything that you're trying to study within IT. So for me, I think that's a game changer because it evens out the playing field to where, you can have someone that go to school and go and get their certification and land a job. And also you can have someone that didn't go to school, just had the motivation to self-study, and they went and got a certification and got the same job or something similar. So you see all kind of folks in IT. You see those that's, went to school, and you see those that didn't. So in my eyes, like I said earlier, no certification or degree will guarantee a job, but I do think it gets you in the door to help you to land that first role or the transition to another role. So that brings me to the end of this episode. Hopefully you found some value in this episode. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. If you're on Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook, you can follow me at DebtFreeinIT. If you have any questions, you can email me at debtfreeinit@gmail.com, or you can visit me at debtfreeinitwithmike.com. Other than that, I'll see you next week. Peace.